Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I'm creating another scrapbooking layout. This is going to be an 8.5 by 11 layout, and I am documenting this photo of my boys on their last day of school this year. And the tones in this picture are like lots of greens and peaches with the way that I edited it. So I went through my Wild Hare Kits. If you didn't see my unboxing, I'll link it down below where I talk about what I'm doing with my kit this month, because I did not get a new kit. I'm using all of my not old, but like past kits from the Wild Hare Kits for this last month that I'm on the team. So I dug through my box of goodies and picked out items that would match the colors of this photo. So it turns out that it was lots of the crepe paper Wild Heart collection. Now I had gotten some of this collection, like the stickers and things, in one of my kits, and then I went out and bought more of the 6x8 papers and these little banner pieces. Super cute. So a couple of those are for my stash, and then I've mixed in some pink paisley Auburn Lane. I believe there's a lot of that collection in here. There is, I think this is Maggie Holmes. It was like a cut apart paper, so I cut apart a bunch of that. I have some color cast designs, some freckled fawn, some Pink Fresh Studios. So I just kind of went through and found things in these like color range. Now for my title, I didn't have any alpha stickers that were big enough for the layout that I want to do. So I got onto my Silhouette Cameo and cut out the title. It's going to say Last Day, and I used this paper here, which I believe is pink paisley. Yeah, it's a pink paisley cut apart paper. So I cut from that, and then I also cut several more from this 110-pound white cardstock so that I can layer it up behind and give it some dimension, kind of like thickers was the look I was going for. So let me go ahead. I put you on fast forward. I kind of have an idea of how I want this to go. We're going to create kind of a grid layout in the center here, and this is a good way to bust through a lot of your die cuts and maybe just little small pieces that you have laying around in your stash. So let me go ahead and put you on fast forward, and we will put this layout together. Okay, so I usually go ahead and pre-cut a lot of my papers down off camera just to save time. So I cut a few of these 6x8 papers down to roughly like 1 inch to 1.5 inches wide strips. Now these are 6x8 papers, and I'm journaling 8.5 by 11, so I have to leave that branding strip on at the top, which I was kind of wasn't a fan of, but I think that it just blends right in because the rest of the layout has that kind of grid pattern to it. So I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm trying to use up product, and this is just it's gonna work. So I'm just trying to give myself some measurements so I can see how everything's gonna be spaced out, and then I can trim things down. I am obsessed with the papers in the Wild Heart collection. I look to see if they're still available over like on scrapbook.com or something like that, and I don't see them, so you may want to try and request them from the Wild Hare Kits. I don't know if they still have some of the Wild Heart collection in their supply, but it's a collection from last year, and so it's not like in print or in make anymore. And so I found some of my products from Tuesday Mornings. So if you can't find them, check your Tuesday Mornings. That's where I got the paper pad and the little banner like 3D pieces from. But I love the colors. I love that there's little pops of pink, so it can be kind of girly, but there's also these like tropical themes that really work with documenting photos of my boys. And then that gray paper again is from the Pink Paisley Auburn Lane collection, and the gray tones just really worked with the tones of the photo and just adds another neutral color to this layout. So I'm sticking everything down with a glue stick. I try to use a glue stick instead of dry adhesive runners as often as I can, just for the cost of it. It's much cheaper to buy those glue sticks. Those are some Prima glue pens. They're kind of tough to find. I found mine at Hobby Lobby. I think that I have a link down below for you, maybe on Amazon, but they're just really nice and convenient to use for layouts like this. I'm going to go ahead and back my photo with just a little bit of this 6x8 paper from the Wild Heart collection. I want my photo to really stand out against all the other things that I'm going to add onto this layout. And I'm going to do some other things to it here in a minute to help it stand out. But I don't want it to get lost in this grid I'm creating. And I was really inspired by like gallery walls. I love gallery walls, something I would love to have in my house. And so I thought that I would translate that onto this layout. And it's just a fun way to use a whole bunch of bits and bobs. Like I had those little tickets and that little floral black and white piece. They were from a cut apart paper, or a couple cut aparts. They're from Pink Paisley Auburn Lane and from Maggie Holmes' probably Flourish collection, I would imagine. And they were just floating around in the bottom of my tote box that I store everything in. And so I'm not going to reach for all of them, especially little pieces like that. So a layout like this is a great way to use them up, get them out of my stash, get them used. And it's just fun. It was really, interesting. I love the look of tickets, and I hate layering them behind things because you lose a lot of the details of them. So I love that they have their own little like standout moment on a layout like this. I am adding a little bit of foam adhesive to the back of the photo just to give it some dimension. Again, trying to help it stand out from everything on the background. And that Stay Wild little rosette piece is very dimensional, so I want to make sure that I have some other dimensional pieces on the layout. Now, a grid like this, it's really, really important to have something like a T-ruler like this one, just to make sure that everything is straight and lined up. If you get anything crooked, it's going to be super obvious on a linear style of layout like this one. I am letting some things hang off of the edge, and I'll kind of come in and fuss with that ampersand here in a minute because I ended up cutting off quite a bit of it. I love those Color Cast Design wood veneer pieces. I think I only have one left. Those were from my first kit last summer that I got from the Wild Hare Kits, and I have used up every single one of them. Really tried to hoard them, but I've also been intentional about trying to pull them out and use them. I pulled out this, I think it's Pink Fresh Studio stamp set, again, one that I got last summer, and I'm just using a few of the stamps to fill in some of the blank areas. So that one says a new chapter. I'm also going to use a stamp that says love always, and I'm just using a copper Delicata ink to stamp those. There is a mixture of gold and copper, so some of the elements had kind of a more copper color, like the Auburn Lane, and then Wild Heart has a more gold, so I'm trying to kind of mix and match that. And then I can take some of those freckled fawn wood veneer hearts and use those to fill in some smaller areas. That arrow off to the left hand side, I'm going to flip it around, but that is also a Pink Fresh Studio fabric die cut piece. Those were super cute. Again, I got those last summer, and so I'm just trying to use those up. Going through my cardstock stickers, I have these ones from a recent kit that I got from One Canoe 2, and then some Heidi Swap, and just, again, trying to fill in any little areas that I can. And here's where I cut things off, and that ampersand just looks wonky. So I'm going to use the cut apart pieces to try and fill it in a little bit, make it look more complete, I guess. I don't know. I'm still not happy, so I will add in another heart. Ends up going with a heart sticker here to kind of fill in that white space there. I had this like natural twine, again, I got in one of my kits last summer, and so I thought I'd use this just to add some more texture up at the top here. I'm really just throwing everything at this layout, so trying to find that balance between too much and just enough. And I, in the end, really, really love how this layout came together. I'm obsessed. It's just so fun. I find myself looking at all the different pieces and all the different elements, and it just really keeps your eye kind of bouncing around as you look at it. So here I'm using the negative space from where I cut out that title, and I'm going to use that as a template to make sure that I get this down straight and how it's supposed to be on the page. I just used a font from my collection, used my Silhouette Cameo to cut it out of some 110-pound cardstock. I am layering up 3 layers of the 110-pound cardstock and then topping it off with that pattern paper from Pink Paisley. And I'm just using a Zig 2A glue pen. You could also adhere some double-sided adhesive to the back side. Before you cut it, you could run it through a Xyron sticker maker. So lots of different ways that you can adhere these down. But you can see how I'm using that negative template just to make sure everything's kind of lined up the way that it's supposed to be. And I love that that brings back down a little bit more of that gray from the top up there. So in the bottom left-hand corner here, I'm just using a Heidi Swap label sticker to add the date. And off camera, I went ahead and typed up my journaling using my typewriter, just documenting this is the last day of 6th grade and the last day at this school. We are transferring them to a military style like leadership academy next year. They are super excited. So we're going to be junior high and high school at that school. And so this was just extra, monumental day that I wanted to document. So there's a look at the finished layout. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below. Check out the description box for links to everything that I mentioned today. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.